Hello and welcome to The Hero's Spouse. I'm Kendra Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have a female left behind and forward-moving spouse with a bomb drop of August 28, 2018 and a date of marriage of 1993. She has a boomerang who is a low-energy wallower. This is a long question or comment period, so bear with me. She says, first, she's right, I just thought this might give you a laugh. My MLCer has gone from being a sullen teenager in the beginning of the year to not being able to get out of my presence fast enough. And he was a sullen teenager on a vacation. I believe family was there. Then he came back and he just couldn't leave fast enough, maybe a day or so later, to organizing a lovely birthday for me. I had booked a restaurant in case neither my husband or my sons remembered, in which case I thought I'd just go eat alone for 4 people. Surprisingly, my husband reminded my sons, who were 27 and 25, and organized dinner. I hadn't seen him in a few weeks, although we were in contact regarding finances and family. He arrived the night of my birthday with an incredibly expensive necklace. I don't think he's ever spent that amount of money on me before. And he brought a bottle of champagne. It was prepackaged with the words, "Say yes to love," emblazoned on the outside. I'm not sure what the promotion is or if it's leftover from Valentines Day. But seriously, what the? Her words, not mine. Luckily, after 4 years of mixed messages, I'm more settled and confident in my own life and hold no expectations. Hope, but no expectations. My MLC is still not communicating his struggles or any plans for an us. I was recently retrenched from my long-term job, and he's openly supported and coached me through the retrenchment process, including financial support. I'm thankful for this. I did the same for him in the early months of his midlife crisis after bomb drop. I know this isn't always reciprocated. I'm confused if he is a boomerang or a clinging boomerang. He's a clinging boomerang. I'll talk about that in a minute. As he is not or has not at any time attempted to return, nor does he talk about needing reassurance or anything emotional. Anyway, I hope this has given you a laugh. On to the next round of cycling. Then she also says the cycling and mixed messages, so she submitted this piece later, just like maybe a day later or 2 days later, I think. The cycling and mixed messages continue as he just purchased another piece of furniture for his apartment. Just a reminder to myself that this crisis is not ending anytime soon. So why is he a clinging boomerang and not a boomerang for all of you? The terms boomerang, off and on, and vanisher are very strictly about the frequency of contact. They are not about how nice they are, how mean they are. They're not about the caring within the contact. It's if your MLCer contacts you once a year or less, vanisher. If your MLCer contacts you twice a year, probably still vanisher. If they contact you every 3 months, off and on. Every 2 months, you're starting to move toward the closer contactor. I know, every 2 months, that's not very often. But notice, I have not talked about what kind of contact they were in. Did they contact you to scream and yell and tell you how horrible you are and blame you for everything? Did they contact you to say they were sorry? Did they contact you because they had to for school, for the children? It doesn't matter. It's the frequency. And the reason is we have the power of influence. And if we have contact, communication, then we have more power to influence. It's just there's a flow going back and forth. Now, when I say contact, that could be misleading. I really mean if you contact them and they respond back, that counts. If they don't respond back for a whole year, then you know that's vanishing territory. But you can initiate the contact. It doesn't mean you see them. It's some form of communication. You get to boomerang. And then sometimes you hear that I add this clinging term to it. Well, you could add a clinging term to, I've seen rare off and ons that still qualified as clinging. When they contacted, it was the nature of the contact. They gave reassurances or they showed emotional connection. And that's our key right here. because yours hasn't tried to come home. I sometimes think we get hung up on, I'm the one who wrote everything and my husband came home 8 times. Most don't do that. Most don't come home 8 times. Some, they might come home 1 time, but really that's in the very beginning when they moved out and thought, I made a mistake, and it's still the beginning, so they're still cycling and sending mixed messages to their own head. And so they made a mistake and they move home and then they go away again, and then it's solid. They might be gone. And they don't change their mind until later on when they cycle again, later in the crisis. Even though they're still cycling, they don't cycle so much that they move home, or you don't let them move home. So don't look at my patterns of Chuck, who is an extreme clinging boomerang. I wrote the prototype based on him, but really he's extreme. Most don't necessarily come home. They may not. They might say it, they might not. They might say, I love you. They might say, I don't want a divorce. They might never talk about divorce. They might not talk about any of these things. But look at his actions rather than his words. You've been on holiday together. He organized a lovely birthday for you. It wasn't just he just did a birthday for you because it was your birthday, which is still kind of in a clinging territory, unless you had a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and he was doing it because this is what, I'm doing because I have kids together, and he had enough empathy to do that with children, and he was doing it for them. Your kids are grown, 27 and 25. Yeah, he doesn't need to do it for them. He's doing this for you. This right now is the only way he knows to show the emotion that he's feeling. He doesn't know how to use it, say it with words. He can't verbalize it. But he was able to show it with an expensive gift, with champagne, with not just a birthday dinner, but a lovely dinner. He put so much caring into that. And then, sure, maybe that champagne was left over from Valentine's Day, but he gave you one that said, say yes to love. Now, I could see my husband Chuck getting that and saying, and Chuck and I are very sensible. And take this with a straight face, even though you might laugh, is we might pick it up in the thrift store and say, oh, look, it says this, but you know what? Who cares what it says on the label? We like this one. And we really would be saying, we're not saying that. We just want you to know I bought this champagne because it was on sale. I don't think so. He thought that was a bonus that went with it, okay? Say yes to love. There's more meaning in that. I wouldn't read into something like that if I bought it for Chuck or if he bought it for me. I might if I did it on purpose, but I'm just frugal enough to say, yeah, whatever, get that. I don't want to etch it out with a pen if I were the one in the crisis. We're cheap. No, he got that. And it may have been left over from Valentine's Day, but he picked it specifically. There's meaning in all of these things he's doing. And that's why he's a clinging boomerang. Because a regular boomerang, they're the ones that you say, doesn't seem like he's interested at all. And they're not. No, I see boomerangs return as well, just so you know. You might not be getting those messages. Or if they're sending them, they're not sending them in a way you understand and interpret them as clinging. He's sending them. He's sending them overtly so that people you describe it to can tell. So I want you to know that he is clinging. What's taking him so long? He doesn't know how to communicate with words. He doesn't know how. Remember how we talked about previously, I want you to give him reassurances when he needs his space so that he knows that he has permission. It's okay to have this space. It's okay. But he also has permission to come to you. And just keep doing that. Even if you need to confide in him, do that. Keep doing that where you do have some levels of need for each other so that you each have a purpose in each other's life. And there's a support for each other. And that you're each other's go-to person. Just keep it up. And maybe be an example. Also consider what his love language is. He gave you gifts. Is his love language gifts? I don't know. The dinner, is that a gift? Or is it partially quality time? Or is it active service? It might be one of those. But those might be how he knows, how he feels love. When somebody does that for him, he feels love it's easier for him to feel love with that kind of action. Just a guess. So consider what you could do to reciprocate. And I know, and maybe it's because gifts aren't my love language, but it makes me uncomfortable. I shouldn't be. And so it takes a lot, and it's harder for me to be gracious. And I wonder if that's just normal, whether that's your love language or not. So if he's not so much uncomfortable about like, oh, you didn't have to do this for me. It's like, I know, but I wanted to. Just reassure him. I wanted to do this because it feels good to do something for you and to give something that I know might give you pleasure, that sort of thing. So be reassuring, even if he says, you didn't have to do this. That's kind of, we think it's polite to say that, but it's really about our discomfort and maybe guilt, especially given his circumstances. Okay? Just keep up what you're doing. I know, it takes a while. And then I will see the rest of you in the next question.